We voice every story, we share the light. Together we rise into the night. While we're not borders, hearts open wide. We're stronger together on this ride. With every connection, the world's inside. One step closer to shining bright.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to World Without Borders, the podcast, and welcoming Renata and Susie, my fellow hosts on this podcast. Let's introduce ourselves, ladies. How are you doing today? Renata, let's go with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Renata Anderson. I am originally from Brazil, and I'm zooming in from Portland, Oregon, in the United States.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susie. I'm originally from Cameroon and I'm zooming in from West Virginia today in the United States.
Yeah, Susie's traveling today.
Mhm.
And hi, everyone. My name is Megan. I'm coming in from Cape Town, South Africa. And this coming weekend, our topic is going to be looking at Mother's Day. You know, we're celebrating Mother's Day this coming weekend in many parts of the world. And so we thought it's only right that we give our unseen heroines a bit of the spotlight today. So, ladies, let's climb into this. And I think where I want to start with this topic is just from a personal perspective. What are those characteristics about your mom that really stuck with you, right? So those things that you always remember about your mom, or even not even characteristics, just some memories that really you cling to, especially the fact that Susie and Renata, both of you are not in your home countries at the moment. And, you know, when it comes to Mother's Day, it could be a bit of a pull on you because you're not at home, you're not with mom. And let's hear those thoughts about what you're missing the most about mom and what you remember the dearest about your mom. Susie.
Thank you for starting with me because I didn't have know what to say. But I think motherhood is what is way beyond the person that gave birth to you. I love my mom so much. The person that actually gave birth to me, I love her so much. She's like my best friend. But wherever I go, I make new moms. You know, I find new moms and I find new family, and they become moms.
Love
Mm.
that.
And I think the characteristic of a mother is like she's like a shield. For me, a mother is a shield that protects you from a lot of things. You know,
Yeah.
that provides for you, that is always there and advises you to go and not do certain things, even though we do it and we regret it later. But I think she gives
Yes.
you that advice. And motherhood back home is very different from here. Like when I was back in Cameroon, my mother is like we stay with our parents till we're like whenever we get married. You
Yes.
get out of the house when you get married, but here is like at 18 they just kick you out. I was like, oh, we're done with you. Go figure out your life. And that's a little bit of difference I found here. And the mother is not too involved in the child's life after the child has passed 18 here, while back home they still treat me as if I'm 10. So the same
Yeah.
behavior, like the same, you still have your hours that you have to come home. So it's still that strict even when you grow up until you leave the house. So they are still that strict on you, but they are always involved in your life, like all the time. There is no
Right.
time like when you give birth, they move to your house, wait to stay with you for like 3 months, all this process. But here is so different. So I think that's a little bit of what I would say. I think I'll say more when we keep going.
Awesome. Thank you, Susie, for that input. Renata, I see you smiling, shaking your head. Let's hear it from your side.
Yeah, I love here, Susie. And I can see a lot of similarities from Brazil. And yeah, in Brazil, it's the same. So it doesn't matter how old you are, your mom is your mom. So she knows better, at least she thinks.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like a forever commitment. And
Yes.
so my mom is not here in this planet anymore, and so it's funny because I already lost my father, my husband, my mom, but the death of my mom was completely different. I never felt this connection it's
Right.
it's it's like I never lost her. She's still with me. I can still hear her like giving me advices and say, Renata, don't do this, or Renata, go for it. And she was very supported always in my life, and my brother and my sister, I'm sure they would say the same.
Right.
So I think, yeah, she was very present in our life, and our biggest cheerleader, but is still very critical. You shouldn't do this.
And you
Yeah,
shouldn't. You better listen because they'll come after you.
yeah,
Yeah, I was going to remind Renata about one of our recent episodes where we said, you know what? They talk of experience. We should be listening to them, whether we want to or not, right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, just from my perspective, I think one of the biggest things that I love about my mom and that I've really clung onto about my mom is the fact that she's got such a quirky sense of humor and she's not afraid to share it with anyone. So it's like just be yourself, do you, and don't care what everybody else thinks, right? Just get on with you. And I think from a perspective of a young child and a teenager that's like really conscious of themselves and their place in the world and just fitting in and that kind of thing. She was a fantastic role model in the sense of you don't have to be like everyone else. And what was really strange is that my mom, during COVID, my mom turned 70 and my mom is still with us. But with my mom's 70th, it was obviously the celebrations were cut short by COVID. But my sister and I were both called on to do a quick speech because, you know, with COVID, everything was condensed. So you couldn't do big speeches, long events. We just had a quick get together. But my mom's friends insisted that we speak about her on the day. And the one thing that both my sister and I mentioned without having to be talking about it or being prodded was the fact that my mom is just like her own person. You know, she's just her and she is what you get all the time. That's just her and there's no apology about it. It's just her and that's perfectly good with us. So I think from my perspective, that's the one thing that really anchored me as a young woman, as someone, because my mom's been through a lot of rough stuff in her life. She grew up in an orphanage, lost her dad at a very, very young age. And you know, she was separated from her siblings and, you know, having gone through a divorce and all of these things. My mom's gone through some really tough things. But the fact that she could manage to cling onto that core of herself and just keep teaching it to us and showing it to us, right, that's probably one of the best things she could have done for her kids or for me, certainly. So let's take this conversation down another route. So in Renata and Susie, growing up in Brazil and in Cameroon, what was the role of your mom in your community? You know, how active was she? What was expected from your mom and other moms in your community? Because Renata, I think you mentioned that your dad had a business all the years. You mentioned in another episode. How did your mom fit into the scheme of your guys' daily lives? Let's start with you, and then we'll move on to Susie.
wow, my mom was the boss.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, and she used to say that moms are the boss, and I think they are the pillars of the family and
Yes.
the pillars of the society. So I think when a society that cares with moms, they have good chances to to doing good, I think.
Yeah.
um yeah, because in the end she was the one that chose our school, our doctors, our holidays. um like the important things, I think, was chose by my mom, and she used to say that I choose the things your father pay.
There we go. There we go.
yeah, I'm going to, yeah, she was the decision maker, and he was like just making the check.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
And she was very supported and very focused on our education. Because I think I was raised in a Jewish neighborhood, and my mom was so scared about what can happen in this world. And she was like always like, one thing that nobody can steal for you is education. And
There we go.
so she really focused on our education, and even in the holidays, what are you going to learn in these holidays? And it
Yes.
was like always an opportunity to learn, to grow, and she was always there for us. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes,
Love
that's
that.
such amazing. I think I have the same point of view like Renata, because my mom, she's the reason why I ever decided to go further with education and everything, because she's like, she didn't have a smooth path in her life. She had a lot of up and downs, and she had a lot of girls
Yes.
and had boys after me. She has my mom has 9 children, and so she always, I'm my last girl, so she always tells me, she's like, you know what? You can do everything. I was like, well, how? Why did you say I can do everything? She's like, no matter if you're a man or a woman, I promise you, you can do everything. So she put me to an English school. Like, nobody in my family speak English. Nobody ever studied English. And she had her 7th child that was a girl, and she was like, this is mine. I'll put her in an English school. So I went
Yes.
to this English school. Nobody could help me do my assignments because, man, nobody speak English. Let's start with the beginning. And you're going to an English school. And so she make sure I had extra classes. I always had classes after. I always had school after school. That kind of student that is always have to study because she can't help me. She paid extra classes, and I turned out different. From other ones. Like my entrepreneurial spirit, the spirit of like I can do everything, came from her telling me that, okay, you want to do masters, go and do your masters, you can do it. You want to go to the US, go, you can do it. Even though I was like, I regret the decision, but now I'm like, oh, thank you for pushing me, because if you didn't, I wouldn't have gone to the masters, and I wouldn't have had this job, my dream, this NGO that I'm working on now. I wouldn't have become that leader. Just to talk
Right.
about the power of motherhood, you know because they are the one with us home. My mother didn't go to school that much at all. She had a high school diploma and she stopped. But she's like, my daughter, you can go even have your PhD, go further than your PhD on a company, you can do it. She has that spirit of pushing you to do more as long as you want. She has your back. She will finance it for you. My dad will be the paycheck payer. He will make the check, and she
Yes.
does the decision. So it was like that. And
Yeah.
one thing I learned from her and a lot of other mothers is they're always there. They show up for you regardless. And I because of the how they brought me up, she brought me up. I was like, you know what? I want to be this kind of mother. I want to
Yes.
be the mother that is even why I chose my career as ICT, because I was like, ICT can make me work from everywhere. I can have the opportunity to grow up with my kids, like be with them
Yes.
all, because my mother was work from home, not like work from home job. She had a store, just like we have a house upstairs, the store is downstairs.
Yeah.
So she was always there, though. You always come back to her when you come back
Right.
home. So I really love that. And I was like, I want to be this kind of mom. I want my
There we
children
go.
to come back and they always know that there is somebody home.
Yeah.
So motherhood is amazing, depending on like where you grew up. And when I came to the US, oh, I found another wonderful mothers, and they just accepted you, and they they teach you these little things that I always say is better to learn from somebody's mistake than to learn from your own mistake, because your
Yes.
own mistake is too hard to recover from it.
Right.
So they always like tell you what to do. Maybe sometimes you get angry, you're like, please. I did not leave Cameroon from Motherhood Street to come another Motherhood Street, but it's just so amazing, the love they portray to you. It's amazing. Motherhood love is the best. And shout out to all the mothers. You're
Oh
amazing.
yeah. Absolutely. I can so relate to that, Susie. My mom, both my parents, but my mom was still studying. She was studying to be a teacher when I was very, very young. I don't actually remember the time, but I've obviously heard about it. She was studying to become a teacher. And I don't remember my mom never being in a job. So she was always working and clearly had a very good work ethic. But what was also really nice is my mom is that quiet, determined kind of personality. She's not loud, she's not particularly flashy, she just gets on with it in the background and just does her thing. And even after my parents were divorced when I was about 15, 16 years old, and after that, my mom started what can be seen as a brand new career in, the business sector. But she'd always been a receptionist, and assist like a personal assistant while we were growing up, and she became an executive PA like late in her life, like, well, not that late. She's now in her 70s, but I mean in her 40s. And in those years, it wasn't quite heard of that women are so growing their careers at the age of 40 and going into the business world and doing things like that. So I was super proud of her at the time, and I still am, because it was that quiet determination that just like showed us in the best way possible. It wasn't about telling us, do this, go and do that, or follow your dreams. She just kept doing it for herself, and we just learned off that. So she was really a solid force of inspiration for us, and for me in particular. And I love the fact that I can talk to my mom about all of these things, and she's aware enough of what's going on around her, and she's educated enough to be able to really talk about things. And she loves the fact that I've gone into business, and my brother's also got his own business. So she really can sit and talk about these things with us, which I really enjoy in this age that I am, to be able to sit down with my mom and talk about the stuff that we're going through, and she can actually sit and have the conversation with you. So for me, that is truly special. And then Susie also mentioned that she's got more than one mom. So I'm also in that very lucky position where after my parents got divorced, my father went into a different relationship, or a couple of them over the years, but he's had a partner for many, many years. I'm talking like 20 odd years now, if not more, perhaps 30 years. And I see her as my other mom, and that's what I call her. I mean, she's just like one of the most nurturing people, and I absolutely bonded with her from the get-go. And it's like 30 years later, and she's still in our lives. She's still a part of what we do. My daughter sees her as her other grandmother now. So it's just like, I'm lucky enough. And my stepmom, she's now passed. Sorry, not my stepmom. My mom-in-law is, she's now passed for a few years. But I used to celebrate my three moms on Mother's Day, because the three of them I've just been so lucky with my mom relationships. I've been really blessed in that way, that I've had really supportive people, and people that just, I like people when they support you, but they mind their own business. They don't get too involved and, start scratching where they're not meant to be scratching. And I've been lucky in that sense that my people have been very supportive. My moms have been very supportive, but they also knew exactly where to stop and where to go, in our relationship. So that I see as a big blessing, because there are some people that have really terrible relationships and no relationship sometimes with their moms. And, I can't imagine that. And to those people that are in that situation, I really want to send out so much love to them at a time like this, because it must be difficult not having that anchor in your life, and whether or not it's something you chose, I think it's really important, a big part of your life that's taken out when you lose a mom, or when you don't have that relationship with your mom. And so, I'm thinking about all of you as well, because that must be a really difficult thing to have to do life without, right? And then we're talking about superpowers and sacrifices that our moms have. And I'm going to start this conversation about the superpowers because I laugh at my daughter. My daughter's now 16, and the two of us were out one day. I'm telling you this story because it went on for years afterwards. So we were walking one day, and somebody was walking in front of us. We were walking quite close to them, and she was next to me holding my hand. And this person had a backpack on their back, but they had like a hockey racket, a hockey stick, or a racket stuck into the back of the bag. And we were following quite closely in a crowd. And this person turned around, and my reflexes were to stop the hockey stick, right? Before it hit us, because we were walking quite closely behind this guy. So my daughter was about probably 5, 6 years old, and she was like, "Whoa, how did you do that?" That was like a superpower. You just like grabbed it and you stopped it. And I went, "But don't you know all moms are ninjas?" Right?
Yeah.
So that, and ladies, that is where the legend started. My daughter believed that her mom and her grandma were ninjas from the age of 5 or 6 for many years. And I would speak to her like later on, a year later, and she'd be doing something, and maybe I could see what she was doing in the reflection of the glass. And I would just call out of my room and say to stop doing that. I'm watching you. And she'd come to me and she'd go, "How did you know what I was doing?" And I'm like, "Moms or ninjas? I told you that. I promise you." We had so much fun over the years. My dad would tell her, "Don't do it. Your mom's going to know. Your mom's a ninja. She's going to know." And my daughter wouldn't do it, right? So this went on for so many years. It was so much fun just like carrying this story on. And meanwhile, the simple explanation was that I played volleyball for many years. So I had reflexes that were really good. But we didn't have to tell my daughter that until she got much older. But my daughter firmly believed that I was a ninja. And because I was a ninja, my mom must have been one. So that's like a family legacy story right there. So that's a fun bit about being a mom.
Mini
Yeah.
ninja.
Yes.
You're raising a mini ninja.
But seriously, mom have superpowers. I don't know how they can do everything. How can you be a mom? I don't. It's even exhausting to take care of myself. You are a mom.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your husband. Then you have to take care of your children. We were 9 of us, and none of us is a
Oh,
failure.
wow.
I was
Yeah.
like, and you had to stand for these 9 people. I can't even
Yeah.
stand with myself. Like 9 of me. No,
Wow.
I give up. And she was
Yeah.
there full time, mentally supportive. I was like, who is supporting you mentally? Because I think we can give you a breakdown, mental break, just
For
one
sure.
of us, and our issue can give you a mental breakdown. But you are standing still, you're praying for us, you're being
Yes.
there, not for one, not for two, for 9 children. And
Nice.
not only that, my mom is like a nation mom. She takes everybody as their child. So before you know, you're like 50 that all call her mom. And I was like, and you are there for this. I don't know how you do it. You have really superpowers. You need to be a CEO, because I don't know how you do. You are the CEO of mothers, and because I don't know how you do that. Like, how can you manage all, and you know how to talk to each children? Like, she knows that the way I approach Susie, if I approach the same way, Susie doesn't like when you shout at her. As soon as you shout at her, you miss her completely. Whatever you're saying doesn't matter. So she approached you in a different way. She approached her children in such a different way. And I was like, man, I can't. You have the CEO power. I don't know how you did not become a CEO, because I don't know. You're just, you have superpowers. You really, really do.
For sure. For sure. Kudos to all our moms out there with these superpowers
Kudos to
because
you guys.
we also were in that situation where we I look back and I think of what my mom went through in the time that I'm the youngest child. So when I was there and the third child and everything she went through up to today, and you look at this and it's like completely selfless, and you just have no idea how they coped. And I feel that in years gone by when we were younger, there was
Very little.
very little support for moms
Mhm.
because they were seen as the people that needed to look after the kids. And that's just typically how moms were seen. So there was no break. There was no can I take a day off? There was nothing like that. It was like
Yeah.
you were expected to look after the family first, and you come later. That was typically what
Oh.
I saw in the traditional families. So, Renata, how was it in your space? Were you having the same experience around the moms in your world?
Yeah, I think so, and I think my mom was this middle generation that comes, it's like, okay, my mom, she went to college, she did economics, and when I was a teenager, she came back to study. She did her MBA in business, hospital administration, and she was the first in the class, and that impressed me so much. But she never have a career, so I think she was always more dedicated to the family. But I think I I challenge her a lot with my experience around the world. Like, she went to visit me in Amazon, and I went to the jungle with her. I make her sleep in a hammock during the night, and wash herself in the river. So, yeah, I challenge her a lot. And yeah, my brother and my sister, they are more urban people.
Somebody had to have the job, Renata. Somebody had to take the job, right? And there you were.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. But
Yeah.
but one thing that I liked it was she was willing to have more experience. Even if I was taking her out of her comfort zone, she was like, okay, this is my daughter. What can
Yes.
I do?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I
really.
love the fact that moms always figure it out, right? They
I
they don't
know.
have the experience, they don't have any reference for it, but if you throw something at them, they're gonna catch it and sort it out.
They
They just
always, yeah, I tell my mom, you always have the answer. How do you? Because I can't figure out anything by myself here. Like, I barely can survive. And you were doing all these things for, how did you? You come every time. We always have food. There is always something. And I'm
yeah.
like,
yes,
I don't know how
yes,
you did this. You surely have superpowers because I can't. And she was like, how many children do you want to have? I'm like, if I have three, then thank God. I don't know how you did this. And I was like, oh, I can't.
And
Mothers.
and one of the beauty I'm not a mom, and probably I will never be a mom, but one of the beauty about motherhood that I think it's they see kids differently,
yes,
with their needs, with their personalities. And I think this is so amazing because they give you what you need. And I think that this is the beauty about that. It's
Me too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. As Susie said, that the mother have 9 kids.
yeah,
She knows exactly, the life of each one. What is important for each one? What are the struggles? What are the
Mhm.
success, and why she should be there, and for what?
I'm
yes,
telling you, even when sometimes I go through difficult, I don't call my mom. She'll call me. She's like, I know you're going through this. I was like, how did you how
Yeah,
did you know? She's like, I know my child.
the
This is what you have to do.
connection.
I was
Yeah,
like, you always have the answer. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes I'm like, please tell me what to do. I'm so
yeah, the connection is beyond the words. I think
It
that's
is.
why I said that when my mom passed, I didn't feel it. I was like, why I'm not grieving? Because
yes,
it's like she's alive. It's like I say, okay, see you later, mom.
yes,
Like, I'm sure she's going to be in my life again in another way.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Love that. I
yeah,
love that. And I think, if all of us had that option, I'm sure that with the relationships that we expressing here, it would be such a good experience for us to have that same connection just carrying through when it's time for our moms to pass over. But ladies, we've come to the end of this episode, and we just want to, from our side, um, thank all our moms
Yeah.
all the adopted and adoptive moms, all the people standing in as moms, acting as moms, the dads doing the mom thing, just people standing in for our kids as mother figures. We hope that your Mother's Day celebration, your special day has been amazing. By the time this episode airs, your special day would have passed, but just know that we are thinking of you and we love you to bits. And just thanking you for all the sacrifice that you make for us. So a very happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. And thank you, ladies, for joining me for this episode. And please, all our listeners, our viewers, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our channel. We thank you for all your engagement and we look forward to chatting with you on the next episode. Thank you, ladies.
Happy
A
Mother's
big
Day.
hug to all the moms that listen to us. We love you. We need
love
you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
We're crossing oceans, crossing skies, lifting each other as we rise. No more limits, no more walls. Together we answer the world's calls. World without borders, we are free, telling the stories of humanity. No more divide, we stand as one. Together, our journey's begun.